What's good, everybody? It's your man, Brandon Houston, and I am glad to be sharing my podcast, and I'm calling Let's Conversate. Right now, we're doing the business tilt. We got a young lady right now that is striving to pursue her business and all aspects like that. And y'all see me, I look good, but y'all want to hear from me. Right now, we're going to start talking to her. So, can we please have your name?
Hi everyone, my name is Shante Walker.
All right, Miss Shante, Miss Shante. Now, everybody know black don't crack, but how old are we? Come on,
29 years young.
29 years young. Y'all hear that? 29 years young. Come on now. All right, all right. And where do we where's our birthplace at?
So currently born and raised here in Austin, Texas.
Okay, okay then. What's up there to get into?
Everything. You see everybody moving in Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas. I hear
Right.
the women are better in Texas, whatever. So, just kind of throwing that out
Okay.
there. So he already got his water ready because, the thirst is real.
Had to
Just
quench my
kidding.
thirst. I see. She saw me. Okay. All right now. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So right here, I'm kind of playing a little playful with this one. And I got two things I want to ask. So let's say without taxes coming out, what would you do with $1 million? What is your first major spend? Your first major spend
First major spend.
out of a
Ooh,
million
these are good
dollars.
questions. So I think my first major spend will be real estate. I know that's kind of everyone's kind of cliche answer, and it's not necessarily my dream home that I would buy, but I want to start off with some investment properties, just to kind of get that rolling. Then eventually start getting into other investments. But I think just with the market right now, it's always good to kind of have a starter home for other people and that you can have for investments.
Okay, okay. The whole family living on the same block. You ain't gotta leave. Just right here.
Man, come on, suburb. You know what I'm talking about? The whole block, the whole subdivision, whole cul-de-sac. We in there. You know what I'm saying?
All right, all right, all right. Now, so with that being said, I do want to ask this. So, out of something that like motivates you, or like something that you find motivation in, what would be like an encouraging movie that you would recommend to people that you find motivation from?
Good question. So I'll be honest with you, your girl don't really watch movies like that. And the reason being is, I have two kids, a single parent, and so typically if I'm watching a movie, it's like Disney something or just
Getting
something
encouraged by the
related. You absolutely can get encouragement from that. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm going, if you want to be honest. I think a good movie that you can get encouragement from, personally, is I think anything that has to do with like a struggle victory. And personally, Lion King. I know that sounds interesting. And I'll say the reason why I choose Lion King is when you think about Simba's life, and I'm spiritual, so I make it a little spiritual, but he got to a place where he was defiant. He did some things he wasn't supposed to do, which in his mind cost him his father's life, right? And so just kind of seeing that glow up, because sometimes you have to get in that period away from people and glow up. When he was glowing up, he wasn't around nobody. So he had to get into this period of glowing up. And once he got back to the fight, right, to get back into the game, he was a whole different person. He wouldn't have been able to grow up around everybody and still have the victory that he had. So I think that's a really good struggle victory story, that sometimes when you get removed from situations, doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. You just gotta glow up first before you get back in the game.
All you young kids, watch Lion King before you listen to this video because I just feel touched. I look at Lion King totally different now. Okay, okay, man. Well, that's what's up. That's what's up. Well, look, guys, that portion right there was the individual questions just to kind of get to know the people that I'm talking to you about and the people that I'm recommending because this lady right here, phenomenal businesswoman. I was glad to finally get in touch with her and she's rocking the yellow. So let's just give her props on that. But so right now, we're calling this part for the Let's Conversate is the interview questions. And what we're trying to do here is just to start knowing the business, all the stuff that comes with it. So the first question I would ask is, what is your business called?
a good question. So I personally, I am in the drop shipping industry. And so there's not necessarily a particular name. I do use a particular company for my drop shipping. And then I also use a particular company for education on my drop shipping. And so those two things are proprietary information, but they work hand in hand in order to deliver me with what's called that reach the financial freedom. So you have the Amway portion, which most people aren't fully educated on, and then you have the other educational portion as well to help build the drop shipping portion.
Okay, then. Okay. I know for some stuff and just on my own personal knowledge, I know a lot of people starting to do that. And I'm about to say anything similar. Could it be like similar to like door dashing and Ubering and all that type of stuff? You know, your drop ships are basically yourself and your services. So anything close to that range, or is it a little bit more different, like you were saying?
It's a little different. So everyone is kind of like you said, going into that drop shipping aspect of things, and mainly it's because people don't want to touch anything, right? If you have a storefront of a business, a lot of your logistics have to be handled by you before you even sell a product. You're having to do the accounting, making sure the inventory is good. You got to figure out all the little tedious things, and that's why most entrepreneurs do not succeed within the first 5 years because they don't make money because they're spending all their time trying to get all the little things put together. But with drop shipping, you already are tapping into an already in place logistics system. And so it literally cuts out 75, if not 85% of the work in terms of um, all of the back end work. You let somebody else do the dirty work for you, so that way you can be the face of everything else. And so Amazon will be a good example. The only thing about Amazon is, although you're tapping into it, you're more of an employee, more of I'm just getting a little piece of the pie, nothing that's going to make you financially independent, right? But if you think about the model of it being shipped directly from the warehouse to your customer, you never have to touch it. And so that's where people are kind of going now when it comes to drop shipping.
Okay, okay, yeah. Just understand, y'all. It's hard to be lazy out here. It's really hard. You got to take a lot of
Okay.
effort just to sit on your butt.
Man, I mean, we have technology, we have, the internet. I mean, if you can't build your business on your phone right now, you in the wrong industry. Okay. Like we're at a place now where you should be able to pop open a couple of apps, check a couple of things, and you good to go. But if you still got to go back to the Stone Age and sit down and do extra things, you in the wrong situation.
Hello, y'all. All right, all right. Well, let's say we're going to go ahead and go to the second one. And this one should be very inspirational. And I think we're going to get a nice one from you with this. What inspired you to have this business, to do this type of thing?
That's a good question. So personally, it's where I get a little deep. So personally, I started building my company this way because I became a single parent. And of course, if you are a single parent, have ever been a single parent, know a single parent, I'm sure it hits 50% of people, if not more. Kudos to you, your mom, grandma, whoever in your life is a single parent. It's not easy, especially now, inflation, all of these things. And so, this was 4 years ago. And I'm a teacher as well by occupation. So I teach special education, 6th to 12th grade. And as we know, that teacher salary just ain't cut it. I get paid once a month. Once I get paid, it's like the next week, it's like what we doing for the rest of the month, because it's already looking real thin. And so I have two daughters. One is 5, one is 7. And at the time, they were 1 and 3. So you can imagine just the level of attentiveness I had to have to my children. But I knew at that point I had to do something then, because otherwise, people think that whenever you have children, they have to be the reason why you stop your dreams. In all honesty, your kids will be so much more blessed if you pursue your dreams now, because they're going to need you more later. See, my kids don't need me as much right now when they're 5 and 7. They want to play, they want to go to the park. Their grandma can do that, if I'm honest, right? But when they turn 16, when they turn 18, when prom and graduation, all of these things actually matter, start happening, I need to be the one to be there to provide that.
Yeah.
But if I'm at work or if I'm not able to do the things that I would desire to do with them, you know, that's the biggest thing. So my children are my why. Absolutely wanting to break generational curses in my family. You know, no one in my family has owned a home before, so I definitely plan to be the first to own multiple. But even be able to gift my family members homes, right? As you said, like that subdivision and suburb situation is a real thing. You know, being able to put our people back in the community together, you know. And so that was originally the reason why I wanted to start my own company. Is one, I wanted to have something for my children that I can leave them long term, that was going to allow them to have a cash flow producing asset for the rest of their lives, even if they chose whatever route they chose to go into. But then
Mhm.
on the other side of things, I needed to grow as a person, right?
Yes.
I mean, I think sometimes when you go into endeavors, it's great that you're making money, but do you sell your soul for it, right? Or are you the person that you were 10 years ago, 3 years ago? Have you grown? You know, and so I wanted to grow as a person and evolve and get around other people that were growing and evolving as well, so that I could be the example for my children that I desire to be. So those are two main facets of why I built my company this way.
Yeah. Right now, look, we gotta help these children out, and we gotta do it when we can. But no, that's nice. I'm about to say that was inspiring me right there. Hopefully, inspiring you guys. Listen to that. Okay, so as I keep going, I think you slightly said it, but what was your startup like while doing this type of business? What was the startup like?
Yeah, so the startup wasn't as difficult on the logistics end as it was on the mental end. Okay. And what I mean by that is, most people, when they want to go into entrepreneurship, and I call it defensive entrepreneurship because essentially, in my opinion, you're not necessarily an entrepreneur until you're full time, right? But a defensive entrepreneur is more so I'm building something entrepreneurially, right? Once, or not entrepreneurial, so to speak, while I'm still allowing myself to actively work, get my bills paid, so that eventually what I'm doing in an entrepreneurial sense will replace what I'm doing for active income. And so I'm a defensive entrepreneur. And, you know, starting up was easy, as I said before, because the logistics company I work with handles everything, right? They ship products, they pay bonuses, and they make the products. I don't have to be in here whipping it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, ooh, what's this gonna be? I don't gotta do none of that, right? They
Tossing it,
are the
boss.
bread and butter. And so and even just a little bit about them, I mean, just being the number one direct selling company, drop shipping company in the world, right? Most people don't really know them that way because they're not out there. They're exclusive, and so being fully educated on the company was one, the first thing that I I was fully educated on the company. I mean, I wasn't here with the naysayers like, oh, I tried this and I couldn't do that. Well, that's why you are where you are. Let's just be clear, right? So I listened to my own judgment based on who's giving me the information. And so I trust myself enough to sit down and say, okay, does this make sense? Right. And if it doesn't make sense, I don't go for it. Because again, I have children to feed. And so being able to learn to build, to scale my business this way, I realized, I mean, as a logistics partner, that's what you want. You want to be able to um, let people do what they do best, right? And with the logistics partner, they do what they do best. And so startup on the logistics end wasn't bad at all. I mean, you get your own, storefront, which is more so your virtual office, but everything's handled for you. Now the other end of that is just the educational piece, right? Because you do have to educate yourself as an entrepreneur. You do have to educate yourself in networking because you have to network. I mean, you and I had a conversation, you know what I mean? And it had to happen through networking. And a lot of people see networking as a negative thing, but it's like, how did you get your job? How did you get your first friend in first grade? Like you have to talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Definitely.
networking is the way of the world. We're taught, don't talk to strangers. You're gonna be forever be broke. Okay, let's
Ooh,
just be clear. If you're not talking to strangers, because we getting real, your family not always gonna be the ones. Okay,
that
that's
part.
like 9 times out of 10, a stranger is gonna bless you more than your family will. So if you staying in your comfort zone by not going out and meeting new people, it's probably why you broke right now, right? It's probably why certain opportunities and doors are not being open for you. But you have to be trained to do that. You have to have the self-image to do that, right?
Mhm.
Because if you don't like yourself, right? If you're not at a place where you're confident enough to have conversations, it's hard to network with people, right? Um, and on the other end, just internal growth, right? How are you growing internally? Are you feeding yourself with books? Are you feeding yourself with just knowledge of successful entrepreneurs in order to pursue something more for yourself? And so that was the harder part for me because I had to learn myself. And we all know learning yourself, the fleshiness is the most annoying thing. Let me tell you something, the flesh is annoying because it always holds you back. You be like 3 steps ahead and the flesh be like, ooh, trauma. And you be like, golly, like I didn't even realize that was a thing. And so now I'm going back trying to figure out why am I doing this and why am I this person? But it is what it is. You have to learn and you have to grow. And if you weren't in the pursuit of growth, you wouldn't even know those things existed.
Yeah.
So again, in terms of startup, the logistics part wasn't the hard part. It was self and still developing self that was harder um, than actually starting the actual business.
No, it's funny because that makes a lot of sense to me. And I know this one gentleman, Mike Todd, or the online pastor, he said the first thing when it comes to not just relationships, not just with being with your significant other or people, knowing self means so much more. So that way you can navigate and do like you're saying right now with other people. Because
Absolutely.
yeah, describing this world, you have to be talkative. And like you were
Yep.
saying, you have to be out here and like while we're talking right now, it just makes sense, guys. So I'm about to say be bold, be out there. On
Yep.
my end, I give it to God like I do. But yes, I agree with all that.
Well,
Now
and to continue what you were saying, I mean, if you know yourself, you know the world, right? Like, how are you able to
that
navigate
part.
handling other people if you don't even know yourself? Do you know your triggers? Right?
Yep.
Because that's one thing I'm working on right now. Because baby, let me tell you, these triggers, people just be poking, and I'm like, oh, I need to. It's okay. You don't have
Ooh.
to react to everything. You don't have to.
Yes.
But those are real things, and you
Yes.
have to be put in real situations in order to be tested. And so, just dropping one nugget is if you're still going through the same thing over and over again, it's because you have not changed. So you need to figure out what it is about you that needs to be changed in this particular situation so you can stop being in it. If you want more for yourself, I mean, we all know the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. A lot of people real insane out here. It's like you in
Yeah.
the same situation and you're not choosing to change, but usually it's out of fear or it's out of stubbornness, right? So you got to get over one of the two so that way you can move on with your life.
We out here thinking today. Come on now. I ain't
A
mad
little
at that
bit.
at all. Well, I think we kind of answered this next one, but I'm still going to ask anyway. So, difficulties when it comes to this business.
Mhm.
I think you already slightly said it, but still want to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, I mean, networking is the bread and butter, right? Because with anything that you do, you provide a product or a service, which requires you to network, whether it's networking for potential business partnerships or if it's networking for potential customers. And I will say the greatest thing about drop shipping, at least the way that I leverage it, is that everything is recommendation based, right? So if I see you at work and you're drinking Red Bull and my company already sells, you know, no sugar, plant-based, um, drinks, energy drinks, I'm gonna offer you one because I'm gonna say, first of all, Brandon, that is unhealthy for you. Okay, and as your friend, I want to make sure that I'm providing you with the best. Because wouldn't you want to? You know what I'm saying? And so it's like I'm gonna give you something to try. If you like it, I sell it. Buy it from me. Support my business. And it's not because I'm like, hey, let me shove 10 things down your throat and I want you to buy from me. And granted, do I want you to buy? Yeah, like you're my friend. But at the same time, you know, I'm not going to give you something just for the sake of buying from me. Like I want you to have quality as my friend, regardless of customer, I want you to have quality in whatever that you do. So if you say that you're on a weight loss journey, I'm on a weight loss journey. It's like, well, why not use the best products for weight loss, right? And so it's not just pie in the sky. Let me just throw some stuff up at you and be like, hey, I got t-shirts, buy my t-shirts, which in actuality, fantastic. If you have a t-shirt company, not knocking that. But I'm gonna be honest, once your girl has bought 10 or 12 t-shirts, fam, I don't know what else you want me to do. You know what I'm saying? And so, having a variety is also important. And so what I think the difficulty is one, networking. In order to find what people need, you got to network. And so you have to be able to actively listen to, okay, what are the things that sorry, did I break up there a little bit?
It did kind
I
of
think
freeze
we're
for a
good.
minute.
Okay, but could you hear me the whole time at least?
Yes, I still can hear you, and
Okay.
it feels like it's getting right back to it now. Yeah,
Okay,
like
fantastic.
difficulties happen, but we still in there. We still in there.
Yes, we are. Let me turn this off here. So yeah, so I think it's just navigating the self piece, talking to people, and I think actually talking to people about what you do. So many people, have businesses and they're just not willing to talk about it. And it's like, talk about it. Everyone has a business or doing something for money. And whether someone is like, oh, I wouldn't do that or I wouldn't do this, haters, you're supposed to have them. You know what I'm saying? But you don't know who they are until you talk to them. Let's be clear.
Definitely.
And
Yes.
so, but you also don't know who's been looking for something, who's been looking for an opportunity. And so, but it's difficult and you have to navigate life. I'm still a
Yeah.
teacher. I'm still a mom. I get pulled a lot of different ways. I help people, I help kids, I do a lot of different things. And so it is also learning how to prioritize, how to organize your time, how to calendar plan. I've become such a calendar regimented individual. Before I was like, all right, it's Thursday, what we doing today? And it's like, no, my day is already planned out the night before because I need to get up and I need to get with it. Even like this, I could have easily been like, if this wasn't in my calendar, it wouldn't have got done. I put my brain in my calendar so that way I don't have to think. If it's
There
in
you go.
there, it's gonna happen. If it's not in there, it wasn't important. But those are things I had to learn over time, right? And so you don't know what you don't know until you get into an environment where you have to learn and you have to grow. Bars, but you know what I'm saying? But like seriously, I think that was just the hardest part is again learning self, learning how to navigate other people, and growing and scaling your company. Growing and scaling your company is not easy. Franchising out to other entrepreneurs is not easy because you got to find the people that actually want what you have, right? And then you have to fully educate them on what you have, vet them because you want to make sure that it's a proper partnership, right? You don't want to get into business with somebody you think is shady, right? You want to make sure you properly educate them first and properly see, like, do you have follow through? Do you have integrity? Do you have the things that I'm looking for in a partnership? Then I'm willing to give you what I got. Right. And so that's hard too, because you have business partners that are like, hey, I'm down for the count. And then 3 months later, they may not be there, right? And that's
Yeah.
okay. You experience that, but you got to keep going. And so those are also some things that can be challenging. It's like
Yeah.
when those things happen, you're just like, man, damn, okay. But it's like, no, keep going. You got it, and there's still people out here.
Exactly. Just to throw out a little bit on even doing this with the podcast and all that. I know the type of person that I am. With like words of affirmation, which means encouraging words. I know if you tell me like Brandon, you're striving, you're doing it, keep going, keep going. I'm gonna tell you this much. I'm gonna keep going. And if you boost my ego like that, I gotta watch myself because you can't always rely on people. And when they boost your ego like that, and then they come around and be like, well, I mean, I want you to go, but I might can't go there with you. It can tear you down. But the one thing is for sure, if you know that your calling is not stopping calling you, if you know that you have something to pursue and you see the stride in it from yourself, like you just said, don't stop. One of these days, it will pull through. Yes, it seems difficult. Yes, it seems tiresome. And yes, you're not going to always like it. But I promise you, you're going to find out who you can't mess with. And you're also going to find out, are you really for this?
Yeah.
So I like
Yeah.
that. I do like that. I do like that a lot. So this is something right here that I would say any words of encouragement for like people that want to get into this type of business And I was even thinking to myself just now, like any words of encouragement that you even give yourself right now as you just did this interview. So to yourself, to other people looking to strive in this type of business.
Yeah. Um, I would say, cut the noise. Cut the noise. And what I mean by that is there's so many people in your life that's going to be real noisy, but you have to find somebody that can be your true north. I have a mentor. I know the word mentor is kind of just cliche nowadays. People just throw it, but if you don't have a true relationship with this person, they're not your mentor. Okay. You can sit here and say all day, like, oh, well, Pastor Mike Todd is my mentor to some extent. To some extent. I don't know him. He don't know me. Right. I can't call him up and say, hey, Pastor, I'm going through something right now. Like, I need you to talk to me specifically. I
Yeah.
can't do that. So I don't consider him a mentor. Right. Now, again, in some facets, yes, but when you're trying to build something, you need to know exactly who you're dealing with. Money's involved, time is involved.
Yeah.
And so I have people in my life that cut the rest of the noise for me. They have a level of success that I want. And so I have to learn to cut the noise. There's so many people in my life, family members that are, pulling me each way or my ears going different ways. And if I truly want what I want, I have to turn a deaf ear to certain things and be more selectively hearing in that. And so people have to do that. People have to understand that not everybody's going to come with you on the journey, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it's going to be very lonely. And as you know, success at the top, slimmer and slimmer. You right now in the bucket of crabs, but as you start to elevate, ain't no other crabs around you. You know what I'm saying? And so as we continue to move up, we also have to realize that you have to work that much harder to bring people with you, right? Bring people with you. Success is not fun by yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so first and foremost, cut the noise of other people, right? Realize that success is going to be a lonely journey most of the time. You have help, but it's a self improving journey that you have to go through, right? You and God, most times. There's times you're gonna sit at night and be like, bro, look, like, what am I doing? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? But yes, because if you're not met with friction, you're not moving in the right direction, right? And the last thing I would say in terms of encouragement, if people want to go into a drop shipping business, if they want to just do anything to earn extra income or become financially independent or successful, you got to start somewhere, right? And sometimes where you start is not where you're going to end. It may not be comfortable, but you got to find the right people that are willing to help you, right? It's not a personal gain for me to help you. Now, don't get me wrong. There's financial benefit because it should be, right? Your time and your money is valuable. So there should be some financial benefit for both of us, but it's to help you and it's integrous. And so if I'm here and I say that I want to help you, then I need to handle up on that, right? But you also want to be in a lucrative industry in which, although we may be tied together, you're not under me. You are
Yeah.
your own business owner. You can franchise yourself and you can grow and scale as big, large as you want to, right? It's not dependent upon whether I'm continuing to do it or not. It's not depending upon anybody else. It's all about you. And
Yeah.
so if people want to get into this industry, first of all, I mean, hit me up. We can talk about it. And
There we go.
not even just for the sake of business, but I want to get to know you. I want to get to know the person. I want to get to know your why. You asked me at the beginning, why did you start? Because there has to be a why for you to do anything.
Exactly.
And the very last thing I will say is believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. If you do not believe in yourself that you can do anything, that you can go out there and get small wins and win your own self-respect every day, you're going to sit out here like everybody else just floating. You gotta believe in yourself that you can do everything you put your mind to and that you have good judgment on the
Yeah.
things that you're gonna do as well. And so those are some encouraging words as I'm talking to you, as I'm talking to others, to myself as well.
Okay. Okay. Now, before I get to this last one, I do want to let you guys know that I'm doing this through Zoom, and it is my first time. I don't really have the whole count thing yet, so making sure I'm watching my time and all that. So just know if something will happen, cut off, and we still going. I'm beginning. But the last thing here, and I think you already gave it too, but like, what are just 2 tips for this business that you just give the people? And I think you already said it, but please say it again.
Yeah. Um, First, I would say one tip is be a student. Be a student, right? When you enter into anything for the first time, you don't know nothing. Sit down and be quiet. There is a time to lead and a time to learn. And
Yes.
so when you come in and you start something from the ground up, listen to whoever is coaching you, right? Listen to whoever that mentor is, listen to whoever that coach is, listen to whoever has been put in your life for that specific reason.
Yeah.
And that's hard. It's hard to come from one industry where for me as a teacher, I'm a big deal, right? I do a really good job in my job, but then I come here and I'm like, I don't know none of this. So having to like relearn some things is hard, but you have to be a student. That's the first tip. Be a student, learn and soak in all the information so that you can eventually transition to leading in your own right as well.
Yeah.
A second tip that I would give is, as we said before, you got to be willing to fail. Failing
Yes.
forward is a thing.
Yes.
Again, you're a student. You're not going to know everything. You have to be taught. Just like we're in school, you're a student. You didn't come into the classroom knowing algebra 2, homie. You know what I'm saying? Sit down and learn this content, but eventually you can become an expert and teach your peers. And
That
so,
part.
same thing in any industry, not only becoming a student, but making sure that in order for you to experience a level of success, you're going to have to fail. Failure is experiences. They're the best teachers.
Yeah.
And one quote that I've always heard that I love is that failure and experiences is the best secondhand thing. Nothing else in the world secondhand is better, right? You don't get secondhand shoes and clothes. Nobody wants that, but secondhand knowledge and experiences far outweigh anything else. So fail forward, right? Continue to fail. That's how you learn and grow. The most successful people failed the most, right? But then also, as I said before, just make sure that you're a student and always in student mode.
Okay, then. Well, guys, I'm excited about this one. This is my first interview when it comes to Let's Conversate. And please just thank you, Ms. Shante, for giving us your knowledge on your business, striving, and how everything works in that. And guys, I hope that you guys enjoy it. I know I enjoyed it myself. You guys listen, pursue all the dreams, all the aspects that you are looking to do. As you can see, this sister is doing her own thing. But the one thing I will say, keep going. I can't wait to hear the next person's story. And please like, share, and subscribe to this. And to everybody, deuces.